Well, as I told you earlier, I went to town this morning and I got the fabric to start another quilt. Rosy Stars. There's a kind of diagram of a free pattern I downloaded, and I'll try to put a link to it. And here's a little chart that's got my fabrics, and they're A, B, C, D. They all got an alphabet assigned to them. And my cutting instructions, I've been tearing off little pieces of paper and pinning them to the piece of fabric that went along with it to try to keep myself lined out. And if you're interested and you want to see it from start to finish, we're going to start cutting it. We'll see how this goes. I've got fabric A laid out here, and my other fabric F is laid here to get ready to cut next. And it says we're going to cut 3 6.5-inch pieces, the width of the fabric, and we'll subcut those into 15 6.5-inch squares for our block centers in our quilt. So let's see how this is going to go. This may be a long video. I've already trimmed off this edge, and I've got this setting on 6.5. Here goes one. I may need a new knife, but it didn't cut all the way. There's just a string or two. There's one of them. Now we need 6.5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. I always kind of double count because I think it's better to measure it twice and cut once. Isn't that what they say? Here's number 2. I'm going to have to get a new knife. I'm going to look at that. 6.5. There's 2 of them. Get one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not an expert, but you know, I can get the job done usually, and I've made mistakes and I've started stuff and not finished. 6.5. They just kind of hang just a bit. Now we're going to cut them again. I do have another ruler I'm going to use. Where'd it go to? It was right here a minute ago. This will be the Quilt comedy show is what this will be. I'm telling you, I had another ruler right here. But I'm gonna trim off that selvage edge. I'm gonna line it on pick one of those marks and line it up. And like I told you before, the quilt police would probably not like the way I do things. But see, we don't want that part on there. Six and a half. Make sure I get it. Now I'm going to keep cutting, and I'm going to make 15 of these 6.5-inch squares for our center. So I'm going to stop you for a minute, and I'll come back. Well, welcome to my fancy workshop. This is June the 16th, and it's day 2 of our Rosy Stars quilt. And when I left you yesterday, I was busy cutting all the fabric according to the directions here. And so I cut, and then I go and found my first step I was supposed to do. And I was supposed to pair a 4-inch fabric B square with a 4-inch fabric G square. And I did that. And then when you paired them up, it was a green one and a cream one. And that's what I did on this first step. And then I took a pencil and a straight edge. I'm not going to make you watch everything I do, but then from corner to corner, I made a pencil mark, and on either side of that pencil mark, I sewed a 1/4 of an inch. So they're all sewed here. And now the next step is I take my cutter, take the ruler and lay it on the pencil mark, and cut it. Now I got 2 pieces, but we're going to have to square them up. So I have a lot of the tools and the little trinkets that make it easier that my grandma didn't have. And so we want to square it up to 3.5 inches. So I use my little trimmer and line it up as per the instructions. And trim that. I have a hard time with my trimmer cutting the little tails off, so I usually just grab the scissors or leave them. And then I'll have a little perfect little 3.5 inch square, just like these 2 that I've already cut. So I've got a whole stack of them here I need to do before I go on to the next step. So I'm gonna work on them. I think there'll be 60 of these when I get them done. And that step will be finished here in my fancy sewing room with my pot of beans. Yep, I got a pot of beans back there on. This countertop is a good height to do the cutting and the sewing. And my dear husband, he puts up with me doing stuff like this wherever I need to do it. As long as I take care of him, he's okay. So I'm going to cut these. I've got all those sewed. So I've got to trim them and cut them and press them. And when I get all that done, I'm going to come back and show you another step. Because like I said, here they are. But I've got my work cut out for me. But I'm going to sit right here while my beans cook and work on them. I don't know if I'll be back today or if it'll be June the 17th before I come back with another step. But because I'm a busy farm wife, and I have things I have to do, chores that have to be done. I have a husband that has to be taken care of. And I will at some point. I'll get you to the sewing machine and show you how we're going to sew them all together. Because I've had them in there and I've sewed, cut. Now I've got to trim and press before I move on. So I'm going to get off here and do what I've got to do. See y'all later. Penelope's here with me this morning. And we're going to give you an update on Rosy Stars. Let me look behind and see if I turned on the microphone behind this camera. I did. I just had to make sure, because when I'm all the time when I'm video, I'm all the time doing something wrong. Penelope's here. I'm wanting to send her home with somebody, but I'm still waiting for enough subscribers. And what was I going to say? This is just going to be an update on Rosy Stars. Oh, and the garden, look. I'm getting, the yellow squash is big enough. I've already cooked some of them. They're not babies anymore. They're just right size to slice and fry. Well, you roll them in cornmeal and you fry them. That's good. And what? Here's my Rosy Stars, because this is Penelope. This is Rosy Stars. And I want you to know I've got all the blocks made for her. There's all the blocks, all 30 of them. There's 15 of one and 15 of the other. And I've just got a few more here that I'm a pressing on. And I'm going to go put them together, sew them together after a while. I have to show you that in a little while. This is Saturday morning, June the 18th, and I started her Wednesday just a few days ago, so she's going to be a pretty thing. I tell you what I think I'm going to do. This Penelope's going to be given away just as soon as I figure out the logistics on that. But this one, I might just see if there's some way I could auction off Rosy Stars. When I'm retired from my chicken farming, I mean my finances are okay, but there's not much money coming in, so I have to be frugal. So what if I auctioned her off and at least get enough money back to buy me some more fabric so I can keep sewing? It's a thought. Anyway, I'm going to add this to the other clips of the Rosy Stars where I started her and see how it goes. I'll be back probably Saturday afternoon to show you Rosy Stars all put together. Here I am back with my pretty quilt top, and all the blocks are all sewed together. And I think so far it's just as pretty as it can be. And it's Saturday afternoon. And there it's all made, and it is pretty. I put this one little border here all around the edge, a little narrow one. And when I was at the store, I bought this piece for the last border, but now that it's time to put it on there, I don't like it. It just doesn't seem to go with it. So I'm going to stop at this point and see what other piece I can go buy to put on this border to finish it. I was doing good, and I had planned on putting it on the quilt machine Monday morning, but I don't like it, so I'm going to change it. So this is the end of this video until I come back again and show you more. There she is.